Hello and welcome to Sean White's Solar and Energy Storage Podcast. Today, our special guest is Jason Evans. And Jason, tell us about yourself.
Good morning, Sean. Thank you for having me here this morning. My name is Jason Evans. I am one of the co-founders and chief innovation officers here at ProScore Technologies. ProScore Technologies is a company that was founded as a technology or tech-first solution for the rule and regulation hurdles of IRA, Inflation Reduction Act, from an employer and workforce management centric view. We provide compliance at a point where it simplifies it, reduces the overall cost, and provides efficiencies across the board. With regards to all hierarchies on a project, as we look at me and my background, I come from a background of global contingent workforce solutions, operations, and delivery. As I was working within oil and gas, quickly learning that there was no solution technology first that really solved the challenges of global operations for workforce management. So I then began to dabble into technology, where I then dove headfirst into it. Since then, I've really been able to wear a lot of hats, but where I really accelerate is being able to really read between the lines and see where technology can be applied, how it can be applied, and how we can architect a solution to solve for the challenge.
Great. Okay, so that's interesting. So ProScore kind of specializes in helping people deal with all of the hurdles with the Inflation Reduction Act for renewable energy? Okay, great. And I know that there's a huge rush to, get all these jobs done. So you're probably pretty busy right now?
We are. Our book of business has exponentially increased and continues to increase ever since the Big Beautiful Bill has come out, or Triple B, where owner developers and their EPCs have effectively had to expand their project portfolios significantly from 5 years down to 2 to 3. So with that, they are looking to get their projects started much sooner than originally anticipated. And with that comes the hardship of being able to effectively say, great, here's our expanded project portfolio, here's our resources, and here's our contractors that will support us on these project builds. Where we've actually seen extreme duress within the industry is being able to effectively get the project stood up and get their subcontractors onboarded. I think that would be one of the biggest issues in industry today, is being able to effectively onboard all of the sub-tier partners, which can go from EPC all the way down to 9th tier sub, and being able to effectively allow those subcontractors to get their data from their systems, and if they don't have systems, using ProScore systems into ProScore effectively. So we've effectively, with our version 2 that we released earlier this month, which is a true AI end-to-end native platform, is our rapid onboarding portal, which is really kind of a TurboTax methodology where it can, in fact, allow sub-tier partners to effectively navigate through a very intuitive process. And to ingest that data, we have created what we call Auto, our autonomous AI OCR, where they effectively can work with any document from a sticky note to a picture or to any system and effectively connect to it, tell them what they have, what they're missing, and then guide them through the process.
So you guys even do sticky notes. Could I just scan my mom's refrigerator and get some information from there, do you think?
That's a great question. In the field operations where you have some of these sub-tier subcontractors, it's a mom and pop operation. They wear a lot of hats, where they specialize. They live in their truck. They're going from project to project, where they bid, get awarded the project, and they bill. So, when they're effectively trying to track their headcount, their time, their payroll, things like that, you'd be surprised what we see jotted down on a sticky note or just a screen capture of a piece of paper. And no system prior to ProScore's have been able to effectively ingest that, articulate what is actually written on that piece of paper, and then put it into a structured format so they can actually be used towards tracking and monitoring for all things IRA compliance.
Yeah, I'm probably guilty of doing some of that, of having just jotting down notes on backs of envelopes and just whatever kind of piece of paper's there. And it would be kind of neat to be able to just have not even take a picture, but a movie. You'd just be going through and taking movies of all these documents, and then perhaps this AI can take all that and put it in a filing system. That'd be great.
Absolutely, because majority of the time, a lot of individuals are not educated on exactly what documentation is required for IRA compliance. So that's where we simply ask them to upload or connect to a system automatically, and we let them know what is missing and then educate them on it, and then get that additional information ingested in the program.
Cool. And I suppose too, with all the big rush, just because the IRA incentives have been accelerated, to put a positive spin on it. So we have to get everything done at once. And people that might have decided that they were going to do it themselves before this happened are now needing to get everything done at once. And they probably can make more money at it. They could probably charge more to get it in at the last minute when there's this big rush. and they might need to farm it out. And so they could farm out some of this stuff, I guess, to your organization.
Absolutely. So ProScore intuitively can onboard, hundreds. It's completely scalable. Hundreds of subcontractors simultaneously, reducing the need for overhead, both teams as well as multiple systems to oversee what would take ProScore minutes as compared to hours for some individuals.
And so it looks like, just from looking at your website here too, you're doing like workforce compliance, apprenticeship programs, looking at the different workers and how that works, auditing, prevailing wage type of stuff. So how do you deal with all that? What's the secret?
The secret sauce is really just being able to architect a solution that solves for all of it. Under IRA, specific for the compliance need, under prevailing wage and apprenticeship. Out there in market, there are systems that are a bit archaic and dabble in a portion of IRA compliance, not a true solution from end to end. So ProScore effectively created both the software forward-facing to deal with prevailing wage and complete visibility and transparency for all partners on, regardless of hierarchy on a project, for one or multiple projects, with an endless team of individuals working on that project, but also specific to apprenticeship. So on the apprenticeship side, ProScore currently has 6 DOL approved apprenticeships, or RAPs, registered apprenticeship programs, where we effectively can comprehend and deliver 95% of all trades currently doing business in renewables or energy market altogether. ProScore has strategic partnerships, but also our own content and delivery system for anytime, anywhere e-learning. As apprenticeship is something that has been around for a long time, ProScore took a tech-first solution at it, looking at what worked, what didn't work. And obviously, as you look at these energy projects, given incremental weather, material delivery, delays, project acceleration, timelines, being able to schedule actual classroom time for apprentices can be quite chaotic, and most of the time can become a thing of the past with regards to not being able to effectively get it done and track it effectively. So ProScore delivered anytime, anywhere e-learning, where each apprentice, specific to the language of their preference and demographic of market is English, Spanish, and Creole, we deliver our content, our employee portal, and everything specific to the language that they want to learn in, and also they can retain that knowledge that much quicker.
Great. Do you see people having trouble right now finding enough workers?
Oh, absolutely. Especially with the accelerated project portfolio, those crews are, being shifted from project to project. But more than anything, a lot of the crews now are being outsourced from third-party agencies, such as staffing firms and other parties. So being able to effectively manage and monitor that is where ProScore excels.
Where would you suggest somebody looking for a job would go to find some of this work? Is it just in certain places, like certain states, or out where there's big deserts where they're building giant solar projects, or everywhere?
We're really seeing renewable energy projects really across the U.S., more specifically very heavy in this last couple of quarters in the Northeast, and then very heavy from the West Coast, from California all the way through to Texas and into the Southeast. With regards to employers, pretty much every energy type company, from EPC down to subcontractors that support them from a civil, electrical, or mechanical perspective, are rapidly hiring.
Okay. So I just taught a class to a bunch of people over in New York City and Brooklyn and Manhattan. And there's a bunch of people in that class that passed the NABCEP associate exam. Do you know where I could suggest that some of them find a job? Like, would there be anything close for them, like New Jersey, or would they have to go up north a little bit further? Or what would you recommend?
No, that's a great question. Specific to the partners that we currently engage throughout the Northeast, specifically in New York, upper state New York, New Jersey, we have a lot of partners that are readily available. However, specific places they can actually go, that is something that I'm not privy to at this moment.
Mm-hmm. And so you have like 6 different nationally approved apprenticeship programs. Are those like big unions or?
No. So ProScore is a non-union shop. However, our software supports both union, non-union, and hybrid projects. We are actually ProScore is set up as a multi-employer wrap, or the sponsor of a multi-employer wrap, where the partners we do business with execute an Appendix D. So they work under our DOL approved apprenticeship programs, where it's actually their W-2 employees actually being facilitated into the ProScore apprenticeship program.
Okay, great. So what type of people are you working with? Like you said, just lots of smaller companies, or all sizes?
All sizes. So ProScore does business with, top pyramid financiers, the owner developers of energy projects, down to the tier 1 EPCs that they execute agreements with to actually build the projects. And then obviously all the subcontractors and contractors associated to those EPCs. So from owner developer all the way down to sub-tier.
Okay. And I have a question for you too. Like, a lot of what you're focusing on is the Inflation Reduction Act. And just like any program, there's going to be an end to it, but this one came a little bit sooner than a lot of people expected. What do you think happens next?
No, it's a great question. So specific ProScore was founded and architected to deliver a tech-first solution to the challenges of IRA. Those currently doing business in renewable energy had a solution that they could effectively back into, as ProScore has become the industry standard for IRA compliance. And we know that that runway is becoming a little bit short. For ProScore, the IRA really was a proof of concept. For us to get off the ground, hear the market, the needs, what is the industry screaming for? What needs standardization? What needs to happen next? As we look beyond IRA, we are really seeing gaps across, multiple sectors, multiple industries specific to Davis-Bacon in something internally we call CLASSI, which is Classification Intelligence Engine, where a worker can be misclassified very quickly across the gamut. So our Classification Intelligence Engine, which is an AI-based solution, can effectively, with the employer, ensure compliance ahead of a misclassification.
So do people that work for ProScore, are they living in the same location, or are you remote workers?
That's a great question. When ProScore was first founded, we went with a complete remote or back-end office. However, as we've developed, we have our corporate office in Austin, satellite offices in Carlsbad, California, as well as in Houston, and we are looking to open locations in South Florida and North Carolina.
Oh, great. Yeah, the American Solar Energy Society conference next year is going to be in Austin, Texas, so I will be there, which is a cool place to be. So I can't wait.
Oh, it's a great city. We love the food, the people, and the climate. So great place to have our corporate.
Yeah, I guess there's a lot of activity there. So
There is.
We interrupt you for a very important announcement. Sean White's Solar and Energy Storage Podcast has been brought to you by Sean White's Solar and Energy Storage Podcast. That's right, Sean White is sponsoring his own podcast, and he wants to remind you to go check out some of his classes. You can go to SolarSEAN, that's Solar, SEAN.com, and then click on the links to check out his classes. You can check out his heat spring classes, and you can also hire him to teach classes for you, like at your company, something like that. Now back to the show.
So specific to ProScore, really the solution that ProScore offers really takes the challenges of compliance, simplifies them, and reduces the need to hire multiple firms, software systems, and individuals to manage. And through a tech-first solution, simply minimizes it for all partners at all hierarchy levels of a project.
Great.
So I think more than anything from a ProScore lens, really just looking at the industry, to your point earlier about the big beautiful bill and the run rate for IRA, and so the expanded project portfolio, kind of talking about our newest version 2 with rapid onboarding, where it just complies a true AI end-to-end solution. That's maybe some taglines we'd like to get out there.
Great. Okay. And do you get involved yourself with different things about the IRA, like wind, solar, energy storage, like the specifics of each one of those?
As an organization, we do. Me specifically, that is something I'm going to be maturing and moving into more. But currently, it's more me facilitating from both an operations, innovation, and then delivery perspective.
Okay, great. Yeah. So you deal a lot with prevailing wage. What is prevailing wage, and how is it different in different places?
No, it's a great question. So prevailing wage is really a support piece of Davis-Bacon. In Inflation Reduction Act or IRA, Davis-Bacon or prevailing wage is a key component to ensuring that the trades being deployed, given a work scope to a specific renewable project, are paid fair and accordingly, specific to their job title and location or locale of project. The source of truth for prevailing wage is SAM.gov. The supporting documents within SAM.gov are called wage determination sheets, where that effectively by county and by state lists what the DOL, Department of Labor, have effectively approved for those trades specific to that county and that state.
So can you tell me a little bit more about that, like a couple of things? You said Davis-Bacon, and I guess you're not talking about breakfast, even though it does sound good, and SAM.gov. What are those things?
Absolutely. So Davis-Bacon is a legislation that was passed quite some time ago, specific to ensure equality and equal pay to the trades here domestically within the U.S. SAM.gov is the source of truth or the federal website in which lists all of the prevailing wage job titles and the wages that each trade should be paid accordingly, both base, fringe, total comp, and all data points or anomalous data points associated with each prevailing wage job title. That is where individuals such as the owners, the developers, and each employer under a renewable energy project would typically go to say, great, I'm doing a project in Hudson County, New Jersey. How much should I pay my electrician? To ensure compliance, I have to pay them X. However, because that data set is so anomalous and quite skewed, for example, if my project is in the middle of New Mexico, if it's within 100 miles of this little church, I have to pay them X. If it's 101 miles, it's Y. Or if it's specific to a specific trade like a crane operator, for every foot beyond 30 feet, I have to pay them X% additional fringe allocation. It is things like this which allow for misclassification, miscalculation of pay, and in the end, non-compliance for these huge tax incentives under IRA. So what ProScore did is we actually effectively took our first AI modeling for source of truth, sam.gov, where every individual that does business with ProScore no longer has to go back to sam.gov. All they have to do is tell ProScore, where's the project? What's your internal job title? What's your job description? Then we feed it through our AI model to tell them effectively, this is the prevailing wage job title you should associate. If that doesn't exist, our system automatically identifies it and lets them know, hey, there is no electrician within Hudson County, New Jersey. So we've identified that, you're notified, and we are going to work with you to automatically file a supplemental or conformance labor request with DOL, Wage and Hour Division. Once submitted, reviewed, and approved, ProScore will apply that to your project, will notify you, and if there's any type of underpayment in the sense of the submission to the approval, we'll work you to get that underpayment cured.
Great. It sounds very complicated dealing with all that stuff with apprenticeship programs and prevailing wage and how far you are, you said, from a church. Is that because if you're closer to God, you get paid more?
Oh, that's funny. But it's funny, those details actually exist within that federal documentation. For example, nuances like if you're above this parallel line, it's X. If you're below this parallel line, it's this. If it's union, it's this. Non-union. There's almost potentially unlimited variables where we've really kind of just through AI modeling mitigated the risk to anybody having to do prevailing.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that there's a way that people that are looking for jobs could come through the data and figure out where's the best place where they would have a high chance of getting a high paying job?
Absolutely. I think a lot of trades or individuals that are associated with non-union jobs typically go into sam.gov to say, hey, where's the highest paying electrical jobs in the Southeast? And they can effectively look it up. Anybody has access to sam.gov.
I would imagine that most people that are just doing the jobs probably don't know about sam.gov.
You would actually be surprised.
Yeah.
I think the employees are aware of any type of federal update to their prevailing wage rate quicker than the employers themselves. For example, if I'm in the middle of the desert in Arizona on a project and my employer is paying me $22 an hour, which is current prevailing wage, and prevailing wage is modified and goes up to 23, they're on their employer's doorstep that next morning saying, hey, I need the extra $1 per hour.
Okay. But I would think like some of that probably comes from just people talking on the job site. But as far as like, it just seems strange to me that those guys are actually looking at the government website, but maybe they really are. I'm not sure.
It's funny, is majority of the time people don't pay attention to the details. However, when it comes to paycheck day, people become forensic accountants. So your point, people are talking on the job site, but also people are scouring the websites to see, what is the federal prevailing wage? What is the market rate?
And then how could people find out where there's more of a need for jobs? Like say I was saying those people that I was teaching classes for in New York City, like is there a place where they could go that they could still live in the same place? Or do they have to go a little bit further away so that they can find the jobs? Do you know if there's a place where they could find out where the jobs are?
No, that's a great question. So specifically from the energy sector overall, DOE, Department of Energy, effectively has a very nice heat map on their website, effectively showing where majority of energy projects are, specific to type of project and the trades that would be associated to that project. However, the need with regards to the workforce having visibility into current jobs, job types, and the pay is something that ProScore is well aware of. And it is on our product roadmap to alleviate that burden by providing a tech-first solution in the future.
Yeah, because you were saying like, oh, you found there's a county or something where they don't have any electricians. Like that would be golden for a worker to know about that. And it would probably help you out too, because then you could be in, helping that person get a job and helping the employer find that person. And there's probably just a lot of people that want to get a career, they're young, they don't know where to go. And they'd be like, oh, should I go to Arizona? It's sunny there, but they don't really know. And they haven't already worked in the industry too. They're looking to just get started.
No, absolutely. I think more than anything, one of the biggest components of IRA is the apprenticeship, and that is one thing that ProScore wholeheartedly believes in. And, post IRA, as we pivot out of IRA, the apprenticeship management, delivery, and education of is something that we are going to effectively continue to evolve and mature, looking at, for example, the typical issues you just mentioned. Hey, I'm interested in getting into the trades. How do I get started? Where do I go? Where are the projects? What type of projects do I look at? And looking at variables, for example, the type of project, where the location is, great. There's the location. What employers are actually going to be employing individuals of these types of trades on that project? And if I look at variables like, great, it's kind of remote. How close is it to a hotel? Is it a man camp? Is it a hotel I'm going to be staying at? Do I have to relocate? How close is the residence? Things like that. Those are all potential variables ProScore's looking to solve in the future.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. Yeah, because it seems like it would be a pretty good resource if somebody figured out, how to have some kind of map where it showed where the good jobs are that are needed. Because there's probably a lot of places where there's lots of good jobs and people already know about them or they're desirable places to live. But for somebody that's just starting out, they can move around, they're young, they can go away, they can move away from home and go on an adventure. It would be really nice to have some kind of resource that would just tell them where they can go.
Absolutely. In fact, that product is from a ProScore lens called the ProScore Score or ProScore Connect. That is something that is currently in development and rapid prototyping as we speak.
Okay, great. And so then if I had somebody that was asking where that job would be, I could send them to your website at some point?
Absolutely. If I heard your question correct, at a point in time not too distant in the future, individuals could effectively navigate to ProScore and be able to effectively look at, where are these jobs? What types of jobs are being offered? What are the wages looking?
Great. Okay.
Today's podcast was brought to you by Optimism. Once you have optimism, everything works out.
So what do you think is the highest paying job anywhere in the country, like an electrician in New York City or San Francisco, something like that? Are they getting $100 an hour yet?
No, that's a great question. If we look at both state and federal prevailing wages, I'd have to say that a lot of the trades being paid in the upper Northeast, more specifically New York, are being paid and compensated very well for their time.
Is anybody up to 100 an hour for something like that?
Absolutely.
Like 200?
Between base pay and fringe, especially incentives that employers are offering to attract the trades to that region, they're paying quite well.
Okay, yeah. So do you think they're making 120, 150?
I think it would really depend on the trade type, the level of background, but I would definitely say that there are positions that are paying north of $100. And even in some cases, we've seen around 200.
Wow, seen around 200. Wow, that's pretty awesome. And especially too, probably because people are just trying to get all this stuff set up in a limited amount of time. And there's some places too where there's just not enough electricians. So
100%. And then you also look at factors like weather. And then the majority of these projects, are still being constructed in the wintertime, off season, off peak. And to attract those types of trades and to retain them on project, obviously they have to be compensated well.
Yeah, so they can afford those, really warm Carhartt overalls, I guess, huh?
And the gloves in the mitt. Exactly.
Yep. And so what do you think the prevailing wage is for a bloodthirsty attorney? I'm just kidding.
To be honest with you, I wouldn't know. An attorney would be outside this rate.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I'm just always messing with those attorneys. All right. How about prevailing wage for a heart surgeon? No, I'm just kidding. I think it's just mostly for the trades that we have prevailing wages. And that sounds pretty neat. And so an apprenticeship program is where people can go in and learn while they're working. And I'm always waiting to hear about a specific solar apprenticeship program. Like a lot of times people will go in, do an electrical apprenticeship program, a carpenter apprenticeship program. And I'm assuming you probably work with all different types of trades.
Oh, we do. Absolutely. And actually, speaking about an industry-specific apprenticeship program, I believe North Carolina was the first to pass their solar-specific RAP, or registered apprenticeship program. However, from a DOL and occupation lookout, they're looking to ensure that the trades are being educated, not specific to just solar or a renewable project, but industry-wide, so that skill can be applied both in and outside of solar.
So you said that was North Carolina?
Yes, sir.
And they have a solar apprenticeship program?
They do.
And do you know what prevailing wage is for that, I wonder?
Currently, I do not, because I think that would be a state prevailing wage as compared to a federal prevailing wage.
Yeah, and I bet it's probably like $500 an hour, probably something like that. All right, great. Okay, so let's see. Is there any other things that you would like to cover?
Not off the top of my head, sir.
Okay, yeah. So where can people find out about you? And also, where can people find out about ProScore and get some of your help?
Absolutely. Individuals can navigate to our website at ProScore.ai and or our LinkedIn page at ProScore Technologies, LLC.
Great. And were you at RE Plus in Las Vegas?
I was, absolutely.
Did you have a good time, or did everything stay in Las Vegas and you can't talk about it?
No. Hey, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. No, it was a very productive week for the ProScore team. Met with a lot of individuals across the industry, a lot of good meetings, and we also were able to effectively show and unveil our new version 2 AI platform, our rapid onboarding module, and also our auditor solution.
Great. All right. Well, thank you so much, Jason Evans of ProScore, and thanks for listening to Shawn White's Solar and Energy Storage Podcast. To get yourself educated and to get great jobs, maybe get paid prevailing wage of $100 an hour, make sure to get yourself NABCEP certified. That's the North American Board of Certified Energy Practitioners. And just by coincidence, I happen to prepare people for all of those NABCEP exams. So check me out, SolarSEAN.com. And thank you so much, Jason Evans.
Thank you, Sean, for your time. Have a good day, sir.